Welcome to Culture Talk. This is the segment where we talk about the intersection of faith and pop culture and how culturally relevant topics can be used to start conversations about your faith. I'm joined here today with Fuzz, biochemist colleague, and well, kind of a movie buff just like me, right?
Yeah, I like certain types of movies.
Certain types of movies. So our whole theme for today's show is dinosaurs because we're excited about Jurassic World, but I think our viewers want to know a dirty little secret of yours. Confession time.
I have never seen any of the Jurassic Park movies or the Jurassic World movies and have no intention of seeing the latest movie.
Even though you have a book called Dinosaur Blood in the Age of the Earth.
Yes.
So
yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me to see dinosaurs eat people. Sorry.
You're more into the science, right?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Well, you know enough about it to know the premise that
Yes.
This idea of taking prehistoric DNA and creating dinosaurs. Now, we think that's kind of a fun but fantastical idea, but in your book, you talk about how one researcher actually attempted this. So tell us about that.
The idea of actually taking DNA and cloning a dinosaur is really beyond what the science will allow. Mm-hmm. But there are researchers who have this interesting idea, and that is, can we take a bird, like let's say a chicken, and genetically engineer it to produce a dinosaur? And this is predicated on a view that comes out of the evolutionary framework that argues that birds have evolved from dinosaurs. Well, if that's the case, can we use genetic engineering to reverse evolve birds into dinosaurs?
Right. So then I think in your book you talk about something called a chickenosaurus.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
Well, this was a study done by researchers from Harvard University where they basically were able to convert the beak of a chicken in the embryonic state, a chicken embryo, into a snout-like structure. And of course, they argue, well, this may be what happened in reverse with respect to the evolutionary process. Now, from a creationist standpoint, we are skeptical of the evolutionary paradigm here at Reasons to Believe. I would argue that what we're looking at here is essentially the fact that there's a common design element to all animal life on Earth. And by manipulating those common design features in a variety of different ways, it's possible to create a wide range of organisms. And so I would see this as really consistent with a creation model view of life's history, not necessarily an evolutionary view.
So then you talked about in your book about this reverse engineering, and tell us a little bit more about some of the work that was done and what prompted that, because you mentioned also Jack Horner. So if you could tell us what his work was too.
Right. Now, Jack Horner wasn't part of this study that we just talked about, where the chicken's beak was converted into a snout-like structure. But he's one of the people who've had the idea of essentially doing reverse evolution to create dinosaurs and has advocated that in public forums as well as in the scientific literature. And by the way, for those people that are Jurassic Park fans, Jack Horner is a very well-known dinosaur paleontologist, and he was the inspiration for the what is the name?
Alan Grant.
Alan Grant character. Yes, sorry, we drew a blank in Jurassic Park. So he's got a connection to this whole Jurassic Park idea, kind of in a roundabout way.
So then, when we're thinking about things like this, thinking about Jack Horner's work and the study at Harvard and Yale and chickenosaurus, bird evolution, all this stuff, how can we be in conversation about these topics and make a positive case for creation?
Right. And I think the first thing is to realize that the evidence that people cite in favor of bird-dinosaur evolution could also be in support of a creation model. So people argue the reason why they think birds evolved from dinosaurs is shared anatomical features, but it's quite possible that those shared features could reflect common design as opposed to common evolutionary ancestry. But to me, what's really striking is that when you look at the study done by the Harvard University scientists on the chick embryo, it required scientists that were incredibly knowledgeable about the process of development. They had to develop, in a very creative way, a sophisticated strategy to pull off this transformation. It required highly skilled scientists in the laboratory under very carefully controlled conditions to alter growth factors to bring about this transformation. So in other words, this transformation wasn't through unguided processes, but through the work of intelligent agency. And so to me, this is empirical evidence that there must be a creator that is responsible for bringing about the history of life, because these transformations can only happen if there's intelligent agencies that are planning out how to bring about that transformation.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you so much for that. So if people want to hear more about dinosaur blood and about making a case for creation, which resource would you recommend?
Well, the book Dinosaur Blood and the Age of the Earth would be a great place to go if people are into dinosaurs.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Fuzz. So if you'd like to hear more from Fuzz, you can visit reasons.org and look for his blog, The Cell's Design.